This 17 News at Noon podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Well, good day. I'm Elena Rusk, and we begin with your 17 Court Watch as opening statements were heard this morning in the trial of a Bakersfield man who told authorities he killed his daughter-in-law for dishonoring him. 67-year-old Jagjit Singh told police he either had to kill himself or Sumandeep Kaur Kunar due to her dishonoring of him, according to court documents. Defense lawyer David Torres started his opening by asking the jury to return not guilty verdicts for murder and instead find his client guilty of voluntary manslaughter, arguing Kunar provoked and disrespected Singh and disparaged his deeply held beliefs as a lifetime practitioner of the Sikh religion, causing him to act in the heat of the moment. A conviction of first-degree murder must prove premeditation, to which Singh has been charged and has pleaded not guilty. You can follow this case throughout the day on our website, kget.com. And we continue to follow the trial of Matthew Queen, the man accused of killing Michael Holsenbake, a member of the so-called Bakersfield Three. Matthew Van de Castile took the stand once again yesterday, saying he didn't hesitate when Queen, his best friend at the time, asked if he could use his garage one night to question Holsenbake about a stolen gun. He thought Queen would intimidate Holsenbake to make him tell the truth about what had happened to the missing gun. But on the night in question, Van de Castile said he never saw Holsenbake and didn't look in the garage. The next day, however, he went inside and noticed something different, a large red, what he called grease stain on a wooden shelf. Prosecutors say the stain tested positive for matching Holsenbake's DNA. Now, if you want to read more about yesterday's witness testimony and what is happening in the court right now, head over to our website, kget.com. The Kern County Coroner's Office has identified the man that Bakersfield police officers shot and killed early on Wednesday morning. 33-year-old Jesus Javier Aleman of Shafter was a passenger in a car that BPD officers tried to pull over in the area of Plans Road and South 8th Street. But officers say the truck took off and shortly after crashed into a pole at Plans Park. The driver was immediately taken into custody, but investigators say Aleman fled on foot, leading an officer in a foot pursuit. Officers said Aleman pulled out a handgun and fired at the officer, who then returned fire, hitting him, and he died at the scene. The officer involved was equipped with a body camera, and investigators say the footage will be released when the investigation allows. The involved officer has been placed on paid administrative leave while the investigation is being conducted. And the 5 is back open in both directions following a standoff with a pursuit suspect this morning. It started as a police chase here in Kern County with a suspect driving south over the Grapevine, and it ended about 8:30 in the Stevenson Ranch area at the Lyons Avenue exit. The driver was wanted for speeding and refused to get out of the vehicle when CHP officers approached the car. It took the officers about 15 minutes to get him out before he was then taken into custody. Both directions of the busy freeway temporarily shut down, but the 5 is now open and flowing again smoothly. Turning now to Kern's homelessness crisis and the city of Bakersfield expanding services to help those who need shelter after receiving millions of dollars in funding. Over the past 3 years, the city of Bakersfield has used more than $4 million in funding to help expand the center and add more beds for women and children.
There was one point where there wasn't these extra beds, and so there were ladies that would come here and got put on the waiting list. And now they're able to bring more people in, and there is a big need for it.
Now, the city says it's applying for more funding to help pay for mental health and substance abuse therapists to serve at all 4 major shelters here in town. And meanwhile, it was the return of a lunchtime favorite on Compassion Corner yesterday as KGET teamed up with the Bakersfield Homeless Center to host a barbecue fundraiser outside of our studios here downtown. It's the first BBQ held here since the start of the pandemic. For $10, folks were treated to a burger along with chips, a cookie, and a drink, proceeds all going to benefit the Homeless Center.
Every dollar counts for our families and the children we serve, so all of the individuals that came out to grab burgers and to support us, we're just grateful for their support.
All right, as wildfires intensify across the West, researchers are studying how scorched trees could lead to a faster snowmelt and end up disrupting water supplies. Now, without a tree canopy, snow is exposed to more sunlight. Specks of carbon from burnt trees also darken the snow and make it absorb more light, speeding up the melting process. Snow melting into rivers earlier than normal could leave less water flowing in the summer when we need it the most. Researchers say the long-term effects of charred forests on snowpack could fuel the cycle of drought and wildfires, further disrupting how communities plan for supplying water in the West.
Hello, this is Tim Callahan with Clinica Sierra Vista, and we're excited to unveil the Community Health Center of the Future, our comprehensive care center. It's located right across the street from Memorial Hospital. We have every service under one roof, from family medicine, OBGYN care, dental services for adults and children, behavioral health, and much more. So find your way to better care at Clinica Sierra Vista this year at our comprehensive care center. Visit our website, clinicasierravista.org, for the latest on this project. We'll see you soon.
And now to 17 Business News. Yesterday at noon, we were telling you about the affordability of Bakersfield's housing market, causing the current buying boom. But nationally, home prices have now hit an all-time high, with buyers scrambling to secure loans before mortgage rates take another jump. Last month, the median existing home price was more than $375,000. That's up 15% from a year ago. This marks more than a decade of year-over-year increases, the longest running streak on record. Mortgage rates have also been on the rise since the beginning of this year. The latest average now at 5% and expected to rise. And now to news on the coronavirus. The Department of Justice announced yesterday evening that it has officially filed a notice to appeal a federal judge's ruling on Monday to end mask mandates on planes, trains, and public transit. The DOJ and CDC disagree with Monday's decision to remove the mandates. The Justice Department's appeal was filed after the CDC recommended to keep the mask requirements in place for travelers. The appeal does not block the judge's decision to lift mask mandates so that passengers will be allowed to travel without a mask while the case is being litigated. And the CDC issued the following statement in regards to the appeal, saying, quote, "At this time, the order requiring masking in indoor transportation corridor remains necessary for public health," adding that it has asked the DOJ to proceed with an appeal. Meanwhile, California workplace regulators are poised to extend mandatory pay for workers affected by the coronavirus through the end of 2022, more than 2 months after state lawmakers restored similar benefits through September. The Occupational Safety and Health Standards Board is set to take up the issue today. The debate again pits management against labor. Business groups say the dual benefits are redundant and confusing, while employee advocates say they're essential to allowing sick workers to stay home. The debate comes as a highly transmissible Omicron variant becomes the dominant strain in California and across the U.S. Making headlines around town, the Wolvers building on 19th Street here in downtown Bakersfield is now a cultural resource and will be placed on the Bakersfield Register of Historic Places. A resolution approving the designation was passed last night by the City Council. The Wolvers building was recommended for the designation from the Historic Preservation Commission at a public hearing last month. The Wolvers building, which is currently closed for a major renovation, completed construction in 1950 as a department store with a lunch counter. By placing it on a National Historic Registry, it will, among other things, guarantee that the lunch counter cannot be removed. And looking ahead to this weekend, the 25th Kern County Scottish Games and Gatherings is back. The beloved annual event is coming up Saturday and Sunday at the Kern County Fairgrounds with their traditional heavy athletics, music, pipe bands, food and merchandise vendors, clans, and so much more. Local bands include, I love these names, Whiskey Galore, Dublin Rain, Wrenwood Sessions, Banshee in the Kitchen, and the Wicked Tinkers. Adult pre-sale tickets for a single day are $20 or $30 for both days. You can get your tickets on Eventbrite now or at the gate for $5 more. Children ages 6 to 12 are $10, while kids aged 5 and under are free. And volunteers are needed for a new Kern County event, the STEM Olympiad. The Kern County Superintendent of Schools is hosting the competition on May 7th at Liberty High School as middle school students work together in teams of up to 6 to compete in 15 events. The STEM Olympiad replaces Math Field Day, mixing in some new science competitions while keeping some of the existing popular Math Field Day events. Some of those events entail taking a test, while others involve doing hands-on labs or even building and bringing a device to the tournament. Organizers are still in need of adults to facilitate competition activities. It's from 8:30 to 11:30 that day. If you're interested in volunteering, contact the KCSOS. And volunteers also needed for an expanded summer day camp at Calm. Once again, the KCSOS is hosting the Summer STEAM Camp at the California Living Museum for students in grades 4th through 8th from early June through mid-July. They are in need of college students to come and help facilitate the groups, with training coming up on May 31st and June 3rd. Again, if you have a college student who is interested in helping out, just head over to the KCSOS website.
The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.